जी थोड़े वाइट हो जो
तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय
Thank you. Please sit down. Yeah, I now request the Chairperson, Board of Governors, to declare the convocation open.
I declare the convocation open for IISER Mohali.
Thank you. May I request the Senate Chairperson to award the degrees?
Please come on the stage as your names are called. Okay. So first the PhD graduates of 2022. Harleen Kaur, the thesis title is Intrinsic and Extrinsic Regulation of Hematopoietic Niche Development in Drosophila melanogaster, working with Dr. Lolitika Mandal. Deepak Singh Katiyat, skyrmions and anti-skyrmions in spin orbit modified double exchange models, working with Dr. Sanjeev Kumar. Rakesh Sharma, probing the dynamics and binding properties of fluorinated drugs, ionic liquids, and biomolecules via NMR relaxation and diffusion experiments, working with Dr. Kavita Durai. Venu Mehta, quantum thermodynamic resources and bounds on the performance of quantum pharmaceutical ingredients for enhanced properties, worked with Dr. Ramandeep Jogal. Gaurav Sharma, quantification of open waste burning emissions over the Indian subcontinent, present and future projections, working with Dr. Biabal Sinha. Shraddha Gandhi, porous frameworks of nickel, zinc, indium with an aspartate-derived tricarboxylate and their metal oxide nanostructures for gas vapor sorption, gust encapsulation, Lewis acid catalysis, and photodegradation of dyes, working with Professor Sanjay Mandal. Nuput Tiwari, technology, chronology, and landscape archaeology of microlithic occurrences in the central Narmada Basin, Madhya Pradesh, India, working with Dr. Parth Chaugan. Shailendra Kumar, low temperature dissipation studies in normal and superconducting electromechanical systems, working with Dr. Anand Venkatesan. Ritesh Kumar, electrical transport characteristics of superconducting point contacts, working with Dr. Gautam Sheet. Nitika Alawat, a study in host pathogen co-evolution and immune priming using laboratory populations of Drosophila melanogaster, working with Dr. N.G. Prasad. Garima Arya, molecular insights into effector binding by GNTR, FADR family sugar acid transcriptional regulators, working with Dr. Rakshana Chabba. Pulkit Bindra, porous particles for plant agronutrient delivery, working with Dr. P.S. Vijayakumar. Yogita Silori, deciphering the role of solvation and confinement on ultra-fast energy and charge transfer dynamics with light harvesting molecular aggregates using pump probe spectroscopy and two-dimensional electronic spectroscopy, working with Dr. Arijit Dey. Shiba Khan, design and construction of multifunctional metal-organic coordination networks and their application in sensing and heterogeneous catalysis, working with Professor Sanjay Mandal. Hasib Hakim, detection and quantification of trace gases in ambient air and vehicular exhaust, decoding the urban atmosphere, working with Dr. Vinayak Sinha. Anish Kumar Mandal, elucidating the role of pore-forming motif in the structure-function mechanism of Vibrio cholera cytolysine, a beta-barrel pore-forming toxin, working with Professor Kaushik Chattopadhyay. Aishwarya Agarwal, the role of N-terminal intrinsically disordered domain of the prion protein in liquid-liquid phase separation, membrane binding, misfolding, and oligomerization, working with Professor Samrat Mukhopadhyay. Renuka Agarwal, multimodal inhibition of VD fungi in the gardens of Odontotermes obesus, working with Dr. Ritoban Roy Chaudhary. Lipi Puspa Sagu, shape-controlled synthesis of palladium-based nanostructures of electrochemical energy harvesting and organic transformation reactions, working with Dr. Ujjal Gautam. Devapriya Das, the dynamic personality of alpha-synuclein, intrinsic disorder, conformational dynamics, internal friction, and amyloid formation, working with Professor Samrat Mukhopadhyay. Pranjali Yadav, photoactive carbon nitride and gold nanostructures as autonomous and magnetically augmented entities for therapeutic and imaging applications, working with Dr. Asif Khan Sanvas as supervisor and Dr. Kamalakannan Kailasam as co-supervisor. Anas Agamat, customized polymeric nanoparticles for targeting inflammatory disorders, Dr. Rehan Khan. Pushpendra, lanthanide ion doped bismuth-based nanomaterials, structural photoluminescent properties and applications, working with Drs. Sanyasi Naidu Bodu. Taru Dubey, development of self-assembled and blood-brain barrier permeabilizing amino acid peptide metal hybrid nanostructures as potent anti-glioma theranostics, working with Dr. Jeepan Jyoti Panda. Ravi Kumar Kanchala, synthesis of manganese and cobalt-based oxide nanomaterials for water oxidation, working with Dr. Jayamurugan Govindaswamy. Mayank Joshi, co-crystallization, structural and physicochemical analysis of active pharmaceutical ingredients for enhanced properties, working with Dr. Anshuman Roy Chaudhary. Rajat Garg, Theory of Coherent Averaging in Magnetic Resonance using Effective Hamiltonians, working with Dr. Ramesh Ramachandran. Akash Srinivas, Beyond the Biface, Investigating Variability in the Mode 2 Technology of South Asian Paleolithic through the Holistic Analysis of Select Lithic Assemblages, working with Dr. Parth Chaugan. Roman Sarkar, Elucidating the Role of Myeloid-Derived Suppressor Cells in Virus-Induced Immunity and Immunopathology, working with Dr. Sharvan Sherawat. Ruby Gupta, Development of Nanomagnetic Transducers for Traversing the Blood-Brain Barrier and Elucidation of their Thermal Response for Glioblastoma Therapy, working with Dr. Deepsika Sharma. Ashima Rawat, Energy Harvesting in Selected Semiconducting 2D Materials, a Theoretical Perspective using DFT, working with Dr. Abir De Sarkar. Babita Kaundal, Multimodal Nanotherapy Abrogating Polycomb-Mediated Epigenetic Regulation of Acute Myeloid Leukemia, working with Dr. Subhashree Roy Chaudhary. Aarti Joshi, Functional Hybrid Solids for Energy and Medicinal Applications, working with Dr. Monica. Sushil Kumar, Design and Fabrication of Nano-Architecture Non-Carbon Heterostructures Towards Flexible Energy Storage Device, working with Dr. Kaushik Ghosh. Navneet Kaur, Chitosan-based colloidal nanomedicines and hydrogel nanocomposite for combination cancer therapy, working with Dr. Asif Khan Shanwas. Abdul Salim, Design and Synthesis of Biomass-Derived Nanocomposites for Catalytic Applications, working with Dr. Jayamurugan Govindasamy. Ashish Bhatt, In silico studies of structural and biochemical properties of human cystathione beta synthase enzyme, working with Dr. Ishan Ali. Khalid Naim, Design and Synthesis of Boron-containing Organic Molecules, Exceptional Photophysical, Mechanical, and Optical Properties, working with Dr. Prakash Neelagandan. Prableen Kaur, Designing and Modulation of Long-Range Exchange Interactions through Conjugated Spacers, working with Dr. Ishan Ali. Savina Goyal, Effect of Light and Electrostatic Gating on the Transport Properties of Oxide Interfaces, working with Dr. Suvankar Chakravarti. Preeti Dagar, Design of Photo Notes for Photoelectrochemical Water Splitting, working with Professor H.N. Ghosh. S.K. Riyajuddin, Investigation of nanocarbon material interfaces for electronics and renewable energy conversion applications, working with Dr. Kaushik Ghosh. Nandan Gorai, Ultrafast Plasmon Relaxation Dynamics in Metal and Near-Infrared Active Non-Stoichiometric Semiconductor Nanocrystals, working with Professor H.N. Ghosh. Rohit Vashne, Self-Assembly of Supramolecular Nanoconjugates at Liquid-Liquid Interface, working with Dr. Debaprada Patra. Sonika Chip, Stimuli-Responsive Amino Acid Peptide Metal Hybrid Nanostructures for Site-Specific Anti-Cancer Drug Delivery, working with Dr. Jeepan Jyoti Panda. Anjali Purohit, Oligosaccharides Productions from Lignocellulosic Biomass through Bioprocessing and Synthetic Biology Approach, working with Dr. Sudesh Kumar Yadav. Ankit, Lake Sediments as an Archive of Long-Term Climate-Human Environmental Interactions in Indian Himalayas, working with Dr. Anup Ambili. Manpreet Kaur, Experiments on Quantum Interference and Quantum Imaging with Quantum Entangled Photons, working with Dr. Mandeep Singh. Manisha, design and engineering of nanostructured multifunctional electrocatalyst for hydrogen evolution, and oxygen reduction reactions towards the development of sustainable energy systems, working with Dr. Ramendra Sundar Dey. The following students are also PhD graduates of 2022. They are unable to attend. The degree may kindly be conferred in absentia. Now we will come. Namrata Ramsaka, role of postsynaptic scaffolding proteins, PICK and tamalin in group 1 metabotropic glutamate receptor trafficking, working with Dr. Samarjit Bhattacharya. Arnab Mukherjee, antiferromagnetics, skyrmions in spin orbit coupled Hunds insulator and metals, working with Dr. Sanjeev Kumar. Ashish Kumar, detection and quantification of trace gases in ambient air and vehicular exhaust, decoding the urban atmosphere, working with Dr. Vinayak Singha. Manisha Gupta, community diversity and functions of arthropod-associated symbionts, working with Dr. Ritoban Rai Chaudhary. Soni Yadav, metal catalyst approaches for the synthesis of carbazoles, working with Dr. Ramasastri Sripada. Jagdish Prasad Hasra, deciphering how mutations at the calcium binding sites of tiplings alter the elastic properties of inner ear grating spring and contribute to congenital deafness, working with Dr. Sabyasachi Rakshit. Ankush Garg, role of internal and external stimuli toward modulation of P53 structure function activity, working with Dr. Sarmishta Sinha. Harsimran Kaur, development of highly tunable bioactive peptide hydrogel scaffolds for its application in energy and healthcare, working with Dr. Sangeeta Roy. Shabi Parvez, development of combinatorial nanocarrier-based oral nanomedicine for treatment of visceral leishmaniasis, working with Shyam Lal. Prashant, electronic quantum dynamics of molecules in strong laser fields, novel algorithms and effects, working with Dr. Balanarayan. Saumedri Samantha, nanostructured graphitic carbon nitrates and their composites for photocatalytic hydrogen evolution and sensing applications, working with Dr. Kamalakannan Kailasam. Batula Venugopala Rao, solar-driven fuel production integrated with biomass valorization over heptazine-based photocatalytic systems. Could satellite be fossil fuel of the future? Working with Dr. Kamalakannan Kailasam. So now we will be moving to the MS plus PhD graduates of 2022. Gargi Lether, skeleton ideas of graphs and their associated invariants, working with Professor Chanchal Kumar. The following are also MS plus PhD of MS 2022. They are unable to attend. The degree may be conferred in absentia. Chitranjan Shah, computational and matrix isolation studies of heterocyclic radicals and azoheterodine photoswitches, working with yours truly, Sugumar. Naveen Kumar, light-induced spatiotemporal localization of molecular wave packets on saddle points of potential energy surfaces, working with Dr. Balanarayan. Rohit Kapila, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, correlated evolution of adult traits in population of Drosophila melanogaster adapted to crowded larval environment, working with Professor N.G. Prasad. Komal Chaudhary, time-resolved spin nanoscale optomechanics of fluids using non-invasive ultra-precise techniques, working with Dr. Kamal Priya Singh. Alisha Gogia, design and synthesis of metal organic frameworks comprising of nitrogen-rich heterocyclic moieties for sensing, sorption, and catalysis application, working with Professor Sanjay Mandal. So now we will be moving to the MS graduates of 2022. First one is Abhishek Rana from the Physical Sciences Department. Anurag Ghosh from the Biological Sciences. Sakil Malik from the Chemical Sciences. Supriya Chakrabarti from the Biological Sciences. Ananya Omanwar, Mathematical Sciences. Arushi Naskar, Biological Sciences. Uttaran Datta, Mathematical Sciences. Nihal Kaitan, Mathematical Sciences.
We now move on to BSMS graduates of 2022. We start with Amrita Ajay Kumar, physics major. Abhijit Sahu, biology major. Ishan Chaganu, biology major, not present. Khorwal Jetharam, biology major. Somesh, chemistry major. Abhishek Kumar, chemistry major. Suraj Malnayan, majoring in chemistry with a specialization in physical chemistry. Sneha Saha, biology major. Siddharth, biology major. Shekonti Meher Sanjana, math major. Bhumija Gautam. Sarthak Shekhar, biology major. Sarvesh Thakur, physics major with a minor in data sciences. Chetan, chemistry major. Rohit Kumar Narania, chemistry major. Sudeep Kumar Meena, biology major. Shivansh Kanojia, biology major. Himanshu Meena, chemistry major. Abhishek Dangi, chemistry major. Ashirwad Mishra, math major. Shivangini Jaryal, biology major. Monu, chemistry major with a specialization in physical chemistry. Sayan Chattopadhyay, math major. Aman Jaiswal, chemistry major with a minor in earth sciences. Anjali Gupta, biology major. Amit Kumar, chemistry major. Kripa Nath, physics major with a minor in mathematics. Abhishek Roy, chemistry major with a specialization in organic chemistry. Varun Gautam, physics major. Abhinav, biology major, not present. Anvita Chattopadhyay, chemistry major with a specialization in organic chemistry. Shubhajit Das, biology major. Sajal Navaria, chemistry major. Monica Kumari, biology major. Anant Peer Kaur, biology major. Ajay Kumar, biology major. Rutvik Urdhvareshe, physics major. Kavyashri, chemistry major with a specialization in physical chemistry. Barsa Das, biology major with a minor in atmospheric sciences. Rishikesh, chemistry major. Divyanshu Bharanwal Shambhu Prasad, chemistry major with a specialization in organic chemistry. Keshav Singhal, physics major. Nasare Roshan Krishanji, chemistry major with a specialization in organic chemistry. Thomen Shaji, physics major with a minor in biology. Rajesh Kumar Sahu, biology major. Achyutan Raja Venkatesh, biology major with a minor in chemistry. Karan Joshi, biology major. Kaustav Chatterjee, physics major. Astha Karwa, biology major. Prabhu Prasad Biswal, physics major. Saurabh Bhatt, biology major with a minor in science society studies. Abhishek Dubey, biology major. Nishant, chemistry major with a minor in earth sciences. Sandeep Jakhad, physics major. Amrendra Singh, math major. Arpan Akash Ray, physics major with a minor in mathematics. Shivangi Dhiman, physics major with a minor in mathematics. Kirti Taneja, math major with a minor in data sciences. Rakesh Meena, biology major. Piyush Kumar, physics major. Not present. Sajal Lakheda, physics major with a minor in science society studies. Kaustubh Verma, biology major. Not present. Chaudhary Praveen Bhiraram, chemistry major with a specialization in organic chemistry. Ajit Kumar Singh, physics major. Daya Chatterjee, physics major with a minor in data sciences. Devangi Jayant Sathe, biology major. Abhishek Samlodia, physics major with a minor in data sciences. Adarsh Kumar, math major. Gulshan Dilip Badole, physics major with a minor in data sciences. Sundar Narsimhan, math major. Gawande Shrikant Sarigram, physics major. Abhinav Bansal, chemistry major. Bajrang, physics major with a minor in atmospheric sciences. Rajshri Dasgupta, physics major with a minor in data sciences. Jayanth Devara, physics major. Ramanujan Srihari, math major. Ajay Jain, chemistry major. Nithishwar, physics major with a minor in data sciences. Akashdeep, physics major with a minor in science society studies. Rituban Datta, physics major with a minor in data sciences. Sahil Sharma, chemistry major with a specialization in organic chemistry. Utkarsh Chauhan, chemistry major. Dhruv Saini, math major with a minor in data sciences. Narkhede Nikhil Pramod, physics major with a minor in data sciences. Arushi Agrawal, math major. Ayushi, biology major. Vivek Yadav, chemistry major. Jaspreet Kaur, chemistry major with a specialization in inorganic chemistry. Aishwarya Kumar Priye, chemistry major with a specialization in physical chemistry. Devang Haresh Liya, physics major with a minor in astronomy. Ronak Basu, physics major. Suraj Chopra, physics major with a minor in data sciences. The father Vishal Danabhai, math major with a minor in data sciences. Rashmi Prajapati, math major with a minor in data sciences. Shruti Agrawal, physics major. Ankita Chauhan, biology major. Anshu, physics major with a minor in data sciences. Ashutosh Tripathi, physics major. Irfan Kalam, biology major with a minor in data sciences. Vishal Kataria, chemistry major with a minor in earth sciences. Paras Yadav, chemistry major. Vidisha, biology major with a minor in data sciences. Abhimanyu Sharma, physics major with a minor in data sciences. Sanat Mishra, biology major with a minor in data sciences. Abhigyan Ritvik Medhi, math major. Swaparajit, physics major. Pratik Pranjal, chemistry major with a minor with a specialization in physical chemistry. Vedang Abhijit Puranik, chemistry major with a specialization in physical chemistry. Rudranil Roy, physics major. Ved Kumar Punte, physics major with a minor in data sciences. Roshan Kondaya, physics major. Malpat Kusha Samiha, chemistry major. Muhammad Anjad PP, chemistry major with a specialization in physical chemistry. Jennifer John, biology major. Nilendu Das, mathematics major. Simranjit Kaur, biology major. Sarita Yadav, physics major. Ushnik Das, biology major. Diksha Singh Gautam, biology major. Prashant, biology major. Bhavya Deepthi Vadavali, biology major with a minor in science society studies. Misha Katyal, biology major. Yashoda Singh, chemistry major with a specialization in inorganic chemistry. Monit Sharma, physics major with a minor in data sciences. Radhika, biology major. Avani, BS, biology major. Nano, biology major. Prashant Kumar, physics major. Dhruv Vanshraj Rathore, math major with a minor in data sciences. Neha Punia, biology major. Tarunjeet Kumar, chemistry major with a specialization in organic chemistry. Rupali Singh, chemistry major with a specialization in organic chemistry. Nitin, biology major. Vaibhav, biology major with a minor in atmospheric sciences. Anugraha Arun Puthenpura, physics major. Adil Asim, biology major with a minor in data sciences. Pradosh Parun Das, physics major with a minor in astronomy. Ashwini Gurjar, chemistry major. Not there. Shubham, chemistry major. Drisha Sehgal, physics major with a minor in science education. Shivanshu Sianwal, physics major with a minor in data sciences. Dhruv Pathak, physics major with a minor in mathematics. Ruchira Basu, biology major. Mayank Pal, physics major with a minor in astronomy. Akanksha Kumari, chemistry major with a minor in earth sciences. Rajwant Kaur, chemistry major with a specialization in physical chemistry. K.M. Suraj Murali with a biology major. Yuvraj Rogesh, chemistry major. Desai Omkar Mahadev, biology major. Sarvottam Sharma, biology major. Parth Bhandari, physics major. Kala Pradeep, physics major with a minor in science education. Naman Gupta, math major with a minor in data sciences. C. Afzal, biology major with a minor in science society studies. Anisha Pahuja, biology major. Harshit Jain, chemistry major with a specialization in inorganic chemistry. Sukrit Dubey, math major. Not there. Harshit Jain, biology major with a minor in data sciences. Prabhat Kumar, chemistry major with a specialization in organic chemistry. Vishnu, physics major. Ankita Meena, chemistry major with a specialization in organic chemistry. Himani Meena, biology major with a minor in science society studies. Gaurav Dadwal, physics major. Shreya Ajit, biology major. Ashwini R, physics major. Aditi Agrawal, chemistry major with a specialization in physical chemistry. Aishwarya Sanjeevan, biology major. Sneha Mehra, chemistry major. Sachin Ishwarlal Jadhav, chemistry major with a specialization in physical chemistry. Shinde Adesh Navnath, physics major. Agrima Agarwal, physics major with a minor in data sciences. Abhishekta, physics major with a minor in data sciences. Shrishti, biology major with a minor in science education. Vishal Kumar, physics major with a minor in data sciences. Ravi, biology major. Kriti, biology major. Anish Kumar Singh, chemistry major with a specialization in physical chemistry. Ankit Yadav, physics major with a minor in astronomy. Dhotre Pranit Balram, physics major. Akhil Ratan Mishra, biology major with a minor in data sciences. Abhinna Sundar Samantre, physics major with a minor in astronomy. Vedula Sahithi, biology major. Charpale Onkar Namdev, chemistry major with a minor in physics. Okay, so apart from the students who were called out and who did not appear, there are some more who had said that they will be unable to come. It is requested that the degree be granted to them in absentia. Vishwas Kamal, biology major. Ojas Singh, chemistry major. Prashans Darbari, math major. Vishnu, math major. Abhijit, math major. Jerin Saji, physics major with a minor in data sciences. Madhav Pitalia, biology major. Jasmine, biology major. Aishwarya Ramya Vishwamitra, biology major with a minor in science education. Now we move over to BS graduates of 2022. Rajdeep Kiran. The following students who have qualified for the BS degree are unable to attend. It is requested that the degrees may be granted to them in absentia. So this is Anurag Jha, Alan Babu, Deep Hans and Tejashwar Kamble. As you are aware, we did not have in-person convocations in the last 2 years, in 2020 and 2021, and the institute had promised students who were getting degrees at that time they can come back and ceremoniously receive the same degree again if they wish. So I will call out names of alumni who have come to receive their degrees in person. Rivi Verma. Muskan Bhatia. Harshita Pawar. So these were the 3 PhD graduates from earlier years. Anugraha Sai, KK, biology major. Abhimanyu Bharadwaj, biology major. Kshitij Yadav, biology major. Prerna Goyal, biology major. Shashwat Patnaik, biology major. Arjun Chaudhary, chemistry major. Priya Bhatt, biology major. Siddhant Sahu, biology major. Vishal Gaur, physics major. And the last name in the list, Shubhangi Jain, physics major. Okay, so looks like a replay for photographs. So. May I request the Chairperson, Board of Governors, Professor Ajay Sood, to give his accord to the award of degrees by signing the registers of degree awardees of IISER Mohali. The graduating class of 2022 will now rise. Let us congratulate all the graduates of 2022. Please. I now request the Chairperson, Academic Senate, Professor Gauri Shankar, to deliver his exhortation to the class of 2022. Please settle down.
Yeah. So to the graduating batch, I shall read out the exhortation of the graduates. Remember that your knowledge and intellectual attainment is the most sacred wealth of the nation. You shall therefore use it in a manner befitting the honor and dignity of your country and of your alma mater. You shall make every effort in all circumstances to uphold the dignity of your profession and integrity of your character. You shall endeavor in every way, through thought, word and action, to bring about the well-being of the people. You must live a well-disciplined life. Never forget the commandment of the sacred scriptures. Thou shalt perform deeds that are commendable, and no others.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Kaushal. May I now request the Chairperson, Board of Governors, Professor Ajay Sood, to present the special awards for the graduates of 2022. Mr. Achyutan Raja Venkatesh is awarded. Wait for it. Is awarded the President's Gold Medal for the best academic performance in the class of 2022. It is noteworthy that in this class, there were 3 students who had the identical CPI when rounded off to 1 digit. So we had to go to the second digit to break the degeneracy. So congratulations, Achyutan. Please come and receive the award. The Professor S.N. Kaul Medal for the best all-round performance in the class of 2022 is awarded to Ms. Aishwarya Ramya Vishwamitra. She is not present. She has requested that Professor N.G. Prasad receive the award on her behalf. Aishwarya has made a mark by participating in a number of diverse activities. In sports, she initiated kickboxing in IISER Mohali. She used to give piano lessons. She used to run poetry sessions. She did wonderfully academically. She did a number of very interesting internships looking at neuro-atypical persons, either because of disease or otherwise. And she has excelled in science outreach. She worked with the Life of Science group to produce their calendar for 2022. And she has now joined the Wellcome Trust group in London as their brand ambassador. Now we move to certificates for the best academic performance for each department. Achyutan Raja Venkatesh receives the certificate for biology. For chemistry, we have a tie, no matter how many decimal places you go to. So we have two people receiving the certificate, Sahil Sharma and Harshit Jain. Harshit Jain. Srihari Ramanujan receives the certificate for mathematics. Kaustav Chatterjee receives the certificate for physics. Thank you, Professor Sood. I now request our director, Professor Gauri Shankar, to present the report of the Institute.
Good afternoon. Professor Ajay Sood, Chairperson of the Board of Governors, Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, and presiding over the convocation today. Professor Rohini Godbole, our chief guest for this program, and professor at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Professor Jagdeep Singh, the registrar, and all members of the Senate, students, family members. Good afternoon. My greetings to all. It is after a gap of 3 years that the Institute is celebrating Convocation 2022 in physical mode, and incidentally, this is my first convocation in a physical mode in this institute. We have had our proud graduates for the BS, MS and PhD degrees receiving their degrees today, and my congratulations and best wishes are with all of them. We may take a moment here to acknowledge the contributions of the families and parents of our graduates and postgraduates for the successful achievements which have been recognized today. My warm welcome to Professor Ajay Sood, the Chairperson of our Board of Governors, who is presiding over the ceremony, Professor Rohini Godbole, our distinguished chief guest, and all the dignitaries in attendance, including members of the Board of Governors and of the Senate, and the heads and academics of our neighboring institutions. We are indeed most privileged to host you all in our midst on this auspicious occasion. In this director's report, I shall briefly highlight the achievements of IISER Mohali in the past year in each of our academic departments. In the Department of Biological Sciences, Professor Kaushik Chakupadhyay has been awarded the C.R. Krishnamurti Award of the Society of Biological Chemists India for the year 2021 for his contributions in the field of biochemistry and allied sciences. Dr. Rachna Chaba received the prestigious Wellcome Trust DBT Indian Alliance Senior Fellowship for 2022. Dr. Joginder Singh received the Ramalinga Swamy Re-Entry Fellowship. Dr. Arunika Mukhopadhyay and Dr. Mahak Sharma have been recipients of the SERB Power Grant. Professor Samrat Mukhopadhyay, Dr. Lolitika Mandal, Dr. Sudeep Mandal, Dr. Sharvan Serawat, and Dr. Ritobon Roy Chaudhary received grants from SERB, and Professor Anand Bachawat received the Indo-French Cefipra grant. Dr. Mahik Sharma has been selected as the Young Affiliate of the World Academy of Sciences 2021. Professor Samrat Mukhopadhyay was selected to give the prestigious new and notable lecture at the Biophysical Society meeting in San Francisco in February 2022. Professor Mukhopadhyay was also invited to speak and chair a Gordon conference. The faculty members from the DBS have published many quality research articles in highly reputed journals, which include Nature Communications, Journal of the American Chemical Society, Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences USA, Journal of Neuroscience, Science Advances, etc. The awards and recognitions received by the students of this department include Ms. Prachi Oja, the 2021 Trainee Professional Development Award from the Society of Neuroscience, USA. She also received the IBRO SFM Travel Award to attend the Society for Neuroscience meeting, which was held from 8 to 11 November 2021. She has been offered a postdoctoral position from MIT USA and Stanford University USA. PhD students Aishwarya Agarwal and Devapriya Das have received postdoctoral offer from Cambridge University and Scripps Research University respectively. Anamika Agni received International Travel Awards from the Biophysical Society USA and SERB DST. Sonam Chorol received the DST IISER 2021 award, was awarded a student membership to the American Ornithological Society and a travel grant from the International Society for Behavioral Ecology. Yambam Sonia was awarded a travel grant from the International Society for Behavioral Ecology. Garima Arya received the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Travel Award. We come to the Department of Chemical Sciences. The faculty members of the department have continued to win national and international recognition. Dr. Ramashastri is chosen for the CDRI Award for Excellence in Drug Research and is also invited to become a Fellow of the Royal Society of Chemistry. Dr. Vijayanand received the prestigious Bronze Medal from the Chemical Research Society of India. Dr. Gino George received the Asian Oceanian Photochemistry Association Young Scientist Award. Dr. Shantanu Paul became a Fellow of the Royal Society of Chemistry. Dr. Sanchita Sengupta has been selected for a SERB Power Grant. Dr. Ramshastri has been chosen for the Elsevier Reaxis Grant 2022. Dr. Suman Burman received the SERB SRG Grant and DST Inspire Faculty Research Grant. Dr. A.K. Dey received the CRG Grant from SERB. Dr. Ramshastri became editorial board member of Organic and Biomolecular Chemistry. Dr. Sanjay Singh joined the editorial board and Dr. Sanchita Sengupta joined the Early Career Advisory Board of the journal Chemistry Select. Dr. Ramshastri organized the Royal Society of Chemistry IISER Desktop Seminar with OBC during 25 and 26 November 2021. Colleagues from the department have published a number of important research papers in journals of high repute, which include the Journal of American Chemical Society, ACS Catalysis, ACS Nano, Nano Letters, Chemical Science, Chemical Communications, Organic Letters, the Journal of Physical Chemistry A, etc. The students of the department have received the following awards and recognitions. Anshika Bhagia and Nirmal were awarded the prestigious Prime Minister's Research Fellowship. Mamta Bandhari received the Best Poster Award in an international conference on main group molecules to materials. Prashant Kumar and Amreen Kaur won J. Nost Awards. Shaina Dameja received the FIO plus LS in Cubic Milton Chang Travel Grant from Optica. Varsha Jain got the Best Poster Award at the 28th National Conference on Liquid Crystals, and she also got the RTCS OBC 2021 Award for the Best Flash Presentation. Vidika Punjani got the International Liquid Crystal Society Student Travel Fund 2022. Ipshita Pani got the Best Oral Presentation at Research Conclave 2022 at IIT Indore, and she also got the Best Oral Presentation by the American Chemical Society at Conflu 2021. Akhila Khadyan received the Best Poster Award at the 27th CRSI MSc. Jyoti Latar received a travel grant to give a talk at the Dutch National Chemistry Conference. Juma Datta, a postdoc, got the DST Women Scientist Fellowship 2022. Anita Yadav received the Fulbright Nehru Postdoctoral Research Fellowships. Radha Tomar and Arup Dalal received the Best Oral and Best Poster Presentation Awards respectively in the National Virtual NITT Organic Chemistry Conference at the NIT Tiruchirappalli. For the Department of the Earth and Environmental Sciences, faculty members and students have secured significant research funding and published more than 40 peer-reviewed articles in the past year. Dr. Vinayak Sinha and Dr. Bairbal Sinha secured funding of rupees 6.5 crore from the Ministry of Earth Science for a joint project with IITM Pune and IMD aimed at pinpointing the sources contributing to Delhi's air pollution. In addition, Dr. Sunil Patil secured an 80 lakh SERB Supra grant and Dr. Raju Atada secured 30 lakh funding from ISRO. Maumita Roy, PhD scholar working with Dr. Sunil Patil, received the Sitare GYTY Award 2021, which includes a 15 lakh research grant. Sukram Pal, PhD scholar working with Dr. Sunil Patil, received the EMBO Scientific Exchange Grant Award 2022, and Chetan Sadotra, PhD scholar working with Dr. Sunil Patil, received the DST Inspire Fellowship 2021. Members of the department have also won recognition and awards. Dr. Vinayak Sinha has been selected as Scientific Steering Committee member of the International Global Atmospheric Chemistry Project under Future Earth and has been appointed to the editorial board of Asian Journal of Atmospheric Environment. Dr. Sunil Patil received the Best Teacher Award 2021 of IISER Mohali. He guest edited a special issue on microbial processes for resource recovery of the Bioresource Technology Reports Elsevier Journal 2022. Students who have received awards and recognitions include Dr. Ashish Sharma, working with Dr. Vinayak Sinha, who received the Early Career Scientist Best Poster Award in the International Global Atmospheric Chemistry Conference 2021. The award covers a free registration to the next IGAC conference in September 2022 at Manchester, UK, along with travel funds to the conference. He also secured a 3.5-year PDF position at York University. Maumita Roy, working with Dr. Sunil Patil, received the Best Oral Presentation Award at the International Conference on Advances in Sustainable Research for Energy and Environmental Management. Srishti, Ramandeep Singh and Sukram Pal, working with Dr. Sunil Patil, received travel grants to attend Electromicrobiology Conference 2021, Center for Electromicrobiology, Aarhus University, Denmark. Shivam, a PhD student working with Dr. Chandrakant Oja, was selected to the 13th International School on Radar SAR July 22 by Fraunhofer FHR, Germany. Bajrang C, working with Dr. Raju Atada, has been offered a PhD position at the University of Melbourne. In the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, faculty colleagues and research scholars published essays in edited books and articles with leading publishers and journals in social sciences. Dr. Rajesh authored an essay revisiting his book, Manuscripts, Memory and History in Light of Recent Developments in Historiography, in the edited volume published by Orient Black Swan. Dr. Rita Jyoti Bandopadhyay is the co-editor of India's Migrant Workers and the Pandemic, published by Routledge. Dr. Parth Chauhan has been chosen as an executive committee member for Man and Environment Journal. Dr. Anu Sablok continues to be on the editorial board of Dialogues in Human Geography Journal and recently joined the editorial team as the Book Forum editor. Dr. Debdulal Saha is an associate editor in the Indian Economic Journal. Dr. Parth Chauhan received a DST SHRI grant for a project entitled Imaging Ancient Images, Digital Preservation Risk Assessment, Spatial Simulation and Chronological Interpretation of Rock Art Heritage using multiple technologies. Dr. Anu Sablok has been awarded a consultancy project for the inclusive and sustainable urban development of Abohar for the Abohar Municipal Corporation. Dr. Debdulal Saha has received a grant from the Indian Council of Social Science Research for a project entitled Employment, Digital Labor and Urban Precarity, Insights from Chandigarh, Kolkata, Hyderabad and Mumbai. Of particular value to the audience at this convocation, the students and postdoctoral fellows of IISER Mohali have also won several laurels in the academic and research arenas in the past year, which is in addition to what I have mentioned earlier. These include Manisha Kushwaha received the IGU Gender and Geography Commission Travel Grant to participate in the Centennial Congress of the International Geographical Union 2022 in Paris. Akash Srinivas, Jayashree Mazumdar, Shashi Mehra, Nupur Tiwari, Vivek Singh, Anubhav Preet Kaur and Rajesh Pujari from the Paleoarchaeology Lab received travel grants from European Union to attend the World Archaeological Congress in Prague in June 2022. Anubhav Preet Kaur was awarded research grants from Leakey Foundation, Royal Anthropological Institute and the Paleontological Society. Nupur Tiwari was promoted as chair of the Student Committee of World Archaeological Congress. Akash Srinivas was selected for rewriting the World Archaeology Program. In the Department of Mathematical Sciences, several high-quality research papers have been produced in reputed high-quality journals that include the Journal of Algebraic Geometry, Annals of K-Theory, Linear Algebra and its Applications, Journal of Algebra and its Applications, Journal of Australian Mathematical Society, and the Journal of Algebra. A book by Professor Sudesh Kandoja has also been published, which is a textbook of algebraic number theory, Unitex Series 135. Faculty members have received several recognitions. Dr. Mahendra Singh was awarded the Fulbright Nehru Academic and Professional Excellence Fellowship 2021 and was elected to the editorial board of Proceedings Mathematical Sciences of the Indian Academy of Sciences for 2022 to 2024. Dr. Yashunidhi Pandey has received the Certificate of Reviewer Excellence Award 2020 of the Indian Academy of Sciences for Proceedings Mathematical Sciences. Professor Kapil Paranjpe has been a member of several prestigious bodies, including the National Board of Higher Mathematics, Department of Atomic Energy, Governing Council, Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science, Kolkata, the Technical Advisory Committee, Theoretical Mathematics and Statistics Division, ISI, Council of the Indian Academy of Sciences, Bangalore until December 2021, Council of the INSA until December 2021. Professor Paranjpe is also serving as the convener of the Mathematical Sciences Committee for CSIR Net Exam CSIR. Professor Sudesh Kandoja delivered a plenary lecture in the 35th Ohio State Denison Mathematics Conference held at the Ohio State University in the USA from 13 to 15, 2022 and has been offered the INSA Honorary Scientist Award. Dr. Krishnendu Gangopadhyay has been elected as a member of the Executive Committee of the Ramanujan Mathematical Society. He is also serving as an editor in the Mathematics newsletter of the Ramanujan Mathematical Society. The department also organized several workshops and conferences. The Young Mathematicians Symposium, an in-house symposium for PhD and postdoc students, was organized, is to be organized during May 6 to 7, 2022. It is co-organized by Dr. Jyotswarup Kaur, Dr. Chandan Maiti, and Mr. Ravi Tomar from the department. Other than this, several online seminars and department colloquia were organized during the pandemic restrictions. Some of the seminars and colloquia were given by internationally recognized mathematicians. The awards and recognitions received by the students, many of the current batch of BSMS and Masters Integrated PhD students have secured graduate positions in foreign universities that include the University of Utah, Boston College, UC San Diego, Stony Brook SUNY, University of Georgia, South Carolina, Queen's University, etc. Dr. Manpreet Singh, a recent PhD student, Dr. Mahendra Singh was awarded the Fulbright Nehru Postdoctoral Fellowship 2022. Dr. Neha Nanda, a recent PhD student of Dr. Mahendra Singh, was awarded the French Government Postdoctoral Fellowship for 2 years from 2022. Dr. Sagar Kalane, a PhD student of Dr. Krishnendu, has received the Dr. K.V. Rao Scientific Society's Research Award runner-up second prize for his thesis work. Dr. Sushil Bhunia, a postdoc fellow at the department, has received an offer from BITS Hyderabad for a faculty appointment. Dr. Arunava Mandal, postdoc fellow with Dr. Pranab Sardar and Dr. Sugandha Maheshwari, who is an Inspire faculty associated with the department, have received faculty appointments at the IIT Roorkee. Dr. Anirban Bose, a former Inspire faculty of the department, has received a faculty position at the SRM University. In the Department of Physical Sciences, during the year, the following new faculty have joined: Drs. Pankaj Kushwaha and Prasenjit Das. The department achieved the milestone of more than 100 research papers in a single calendar year in 2021. Dr. Kamal Singh and Dr. Sandeep Goyal received a Supra grant of 99 lakh rupees for developing a zeptonewton meter optical sensor. Dr. Tripta Bhatia received DFG DBT grant in Basic Life Sciences in May 2022 and the Ramalinga Swamy grant of DBT in August 2021. Dr. Sabir Biswas received grants from DST and ICMR. Professor Sudeshna Sinha has been elected to the Council of IISER, is serving as Associate Editor of Communications in Nonlinear Science and Numerical Simulation, and has been made member of the International Advisory Committee of StatFiz 28 Tokyo. Dr. Harvinder Jassal has been elected to the Executive Council of the Astronomical Society of India for a 3-year period beginning 2022. Professor Kavita Dorai was elected Vice President of the National Magnetic Resonance Society of India in March 2022. Professor Kulendar Pal Singh, INSA Senior Scientist in the department, is honored to receive the ASI Zobin Kembhavi Award, Observational and Instrumentation Work in Astronomy and Allied Fields for the year 2021, given to Team Astrostat for the successful design, build, launch and operations of India's first multi-wavelength space observatory as part of the Team Astrosat, leading the development of India's first X-ray focusing telescope. Dr. Gautam Sheet has accepted an invitation for adjunct faculty at the S.N. Bose Institute, Kolkata. Dr. Anush Joseph co-organized a conference on numerical methods in theoretical physics at the Asia Pacific Center for Theoretical Physics, Pohang, South Korea. Colleagues in the high energy physics and cosmology and astrophysics groups organized a hybrid conference, Shivalik Hepcats Meeting Writer 2021. Mr. Ashutosh Ripati, a BSMS student, has been awarded the prestigious MEXT scholarship from the Japanese government to pursue PhD at the Graduate University for Advanced Studies in Japan. Ladies and gentlemen and students, as I conclude my presentation, let me extend my best wishes once again to the graduating students. All of us here are confident that you will go ahead in your life and career to earn great laurels for yourself and bring pride to your institution and the country. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Professor Gauri Shankar. May I now request our Chairperson, Board of Governors, Professor Ajay Sood, to congratulate the graduates and also introduce our chief guest, Professor Rohini Godbole.
Friends, it is indeed a great honor and a privilege to introduce today's chief guest, Professor Rohini Godbole, my esteemed colleague in Indian Institute of Science. Professor Rohini Godbole, currently an honorary professor at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, is a world-renowned theoretical physicist, and she was at the Center for High Energy Physics of our institute, IISc, as professor for over 25 years. Before coming to IISc, she was at various places like Mumbai University, TIFR, and also in number of universities in India, Europe and USA, including CERN Geneva. 2 universities, the SNDT Women University and Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapeeth, have conferred D.Litt on her. IIT Kanpur and VTU Karnataka have honored her with the DSc honoris causa. Her research over the past 4 decades on exploring the standard model of particle physics and physics beyond the standard model has resulted in more than 300 publications in refereed journals, and her pioneering work on probing hadronic interactions of photons provided important insights for the design of electron-positron colliders, and her suggestions to probe standard model and beyond standard model physics have been used in experiments at different colloiders. A fellow of the World Academy of Sciences, twice, she has been elected to the 3 Science Academies of India. She has served as Vice President of the Indian National Science Academy of Sciences, Allahabad, and is currently serving as the Vice President of the Indian Academy of Sciences. She is and has been a number of different national and international advisory bodies, such as Scientific Advisory Council to the Cabinet, SACSI, the High Energy Physics Advisory Panel of the USA, the International Detector Advisory Group of the International Linear Collider, etc. She has been a member of the CERN India Task Force and now a member of the steering committee. She has been the chief editor of Pramana, Journal of Physics, published by the Indian Academy of Sciences, and member of various editorial boards of national and international journals. Professor Godbole has been an avid supporter of the cause of women in science, working over the past decades to facilitate more effective participation of women in the scientific workforce. Among her lasting contributions is the co-edited book, which you might have, many of you would have read. It's a very wonderful book called Leelavati Daughters, the Women Scientists of India, comprising of autobiographical sketches of Indian women scientists, as well as landmark surveys of the status of women in science. She chaired the Committee on Equity and Inclusion for India's Science, Technology and Innovation Policy, STIP 2020. And I am very glad that her address today concerns this very important and timely topic, which she will elaborate. Rohini Godbole's extensive contribution to science and society have been recognized by the Government of India through the conferment of the Padma Shri in 2019. The French government conferred Ordre National du Mérite in 2021. Further, the Karnataka Academy of Science has honored Rohini Godbole through the Lifetime Achievement Award in 2021. Among her recent awards is also the Birla Award of the Indian Physics Association, as well as the Goyal Award of the Kurukshetra University. It's indeed a pleasure to have her as the chief guest in 11th Convocation function. It's our pleasure to listen to her now. Professor Rohini.
Thank you. Trying to see if I can.
No, can you do it here?
I think, can people see my face?
Or here you can?
Maybe there. This is always the problem with these podiums.
No.
Yeah. Is this okay?
You want to sit here?
Okay, because I like to be seen and not just heard. Okay, so
Would you like to sit there?
let me see if people can see.
Can you hear?
Can people hear me even without the mic?
No, mic is necessary.
No, I will stand here, but in between when I move my face, the mouth, I think it might. Let's just see. Otherwise, I will sit. So, Professor Sood, thank you very much for this very kind introduction. So, Professor Gauri Shankar, all the members of the Senate, all the members of the board, and most importantly, all of you who have already received your degrees, your proud parents, and my friends. When I was invited to address you all here, I was indeed very pleased because Dr. Gauri Shankar, thank you very much for giving me the chance to be in this youthful, energy-filled atmosphere. So, before
I will begin by congratulating all the people who have received your degrees today from my bottom of my heart. And I think most of you, not all of you, actually deserve to be doubly congratulated, because the past 2 years have been difficult for all of us, but I think they have been particularly difficult for the student community. So, best congratulations once again. So, you will be all stepping out in the world. Some of you will continue in academia. Some of you will, use your knowledge in the world of science and technology. Some of you will actually go somewhere else altogether. But science and technology never leaves us. It's in so much in our lives. So you will perhaps go and trade the paths where you use science and technology for life and for society. And I wish you all that your feet tread on the paths that your heart desires. I wish you success. But even more than that, what I wish is that you enjoy the journey. Because I think we all know, just as destination is important, the journey itself is, if not more, to me, is the more, for me particularly, I think it's more important. So I hope you enjoy whatever you do in your life. So I should actually tell you that I was not able to be in the convocation for any one of my degrees, BSc, MSc, PhD. So I have not been in the position that you are there, So then I thought, okay, what will I talk about? I couldn't really put myself in your position. Then I thought for a while, I thought a bit hard, and then I decided that I will talk about something that is not science, but it is still related to science. Because after a lifetime in science, it's hard to think of things that are not related to science. So I decided I will discuss about what Professor Sood already mentioned, equity and inclusion in science. I can already see, a bit the eyebrows raised. Yes, of course, equity and inclusion is important in societal processes. No, we need to work on it. But science, come on, science is data-based. It's objective. So where does equity and inclusion have any role to play? So what I want to do, I hope, successfully, to convince you that equity and inclusion has to be an important part of science and scientific processes for the good of science. And it can only add to the excellence in science. And more than that, it is something towards all of us, the state, the society, individuals, institutions, all have to work together towards that goal. And that's what I really want to try and have a chat with you. So since, all of us are scientists, at least we are familiar with processes of science, I shouldn't start just using words without defining them. So let me try to explain what I mean by equity and inclusion. And there is a third word which is always get used with equity and inclusion, that's called diversity. So let me try to begin by defining what is meant by diversity, equity, and inclusion. So, diversity in science particularly means participation in science from different diverse groups. Now, what are these diverse groups? They can be different castes, different religions, different gender, different language, different geographical regions, there can be even different knowledge systems. And the thesis that I want to put to you is that since our scientific processes and capabilities cannot depend on any one of these attributes, all things being equitable, in science, we should have seen an equitable representation of these different science groups, different diverse groups. But I mean, it's clear, I just have to take a look at the stage. Surely enough, this is much better than many other places that I have gone to. But even just simple gender distribution, it's not equitable. So then, but as I said, this is one of the better ones. So that's certainly good, but it is still not equitable. So the question that when one says that you want to have diversity, you want to make sure that there is participation in science from all these diverse groups. Now, some of the groups are better represented, even those among those that are underrepresented. Something like gender, for example, I find is that at least it's included in the process of science. So when inclusion exists, you want to try achieve equity. That means you want to have an equitable representation. And when there is no inclusion to begin with, there you want to bring the inclusion, and that I would say is something like traditional knowledge systems. So these are therefore there is inclusion and there is equity. These are two separate concepts, and I don't want to talk about equality. I want to talk about equity. As I go along, I would try to tell you why I take these two things as separate. So the first hypothesis that one has and that I want to present to you, that, and I think I have already argued, that diversity will increase equity and inclusion. Now the second point that I want to try to address is that this equity and inclusion, what does it do to the scientific processes? So the question that we want to ask, and one can ask this way, that can it really prove that equity and inclusion or diversity add to the excellence of science? And this is sort of an intangible thing, which I would try to argue that the answer is yes. And that is very simple. Science is a creative activity. And any creative activity can only benefit from as many different viewpoints, as many different inputs that you get. I mean, clearly, if you have human capital, and when we have money, we don't put half of it locked in the safe. It is not a very intelligent use of your resources. So from both these points of view, some very normal arguments, you can say that diversity, yes, indeed, is full use of the intellectual potential that the country has. And for a country like ours, where we want to make progress and we want to go forward, clearly we cannot afford to not use our diverse potential. So that's a very, as I said, it's an intangible kind of advantage. And same level, I would actually try to answer it. I will try to quote to you from a letter that was written by about 2,000 physicists in 2012 to the Supreme Court Justice of the US, because Roberts, who was then one of the Supreme Court Justice, asked a question in a court hearing: what unique perspective does a minority student read African American? What unique perspective does a minority student bring to a physics class? And I will read actually what these 2,000 physicists wrote. They said that the physicists asserted three things in this letter. Indeed, science relies heavily on consensus about acceptable results as well as future research directions, making diversity among scientists a crucial aspect of objective, bias-free science. More inputs you have, more likely your results are going to be free of the bias. Then they bring their background, their ways of thinking, methods of applying physics to real-world problems, and the potential to educate others through their unique perspective. So benefits of inclusivity and equity are the same for physics, and read here science, as they are for any other aspect of our world. So this is answer to my first question that I raised. What does equity and inclusion have to do with science? In fact, two investigators, Sandroni and William and Cates, they are at Northwestern University and they work in humanities department. They actually did a experiment. And what they found, that the group is diverse. People are more ready to take risks, to think out of the box, if they think that the outcome, a better outcome is promised. And I think all of us here will agree that in science, thinking out of the box is perhaps one of the most important things. So these are what I would call intangible advantages of having a diverse participation in science. You know, when I start talking like this, then you would say, I mean, come on, I mean, if for 300 years, though, and for me it began with Newton, maybe, so that's from 1400 onwards. For some other scientists it will begin with some other, maybe it will begin with Darwin. But from these centuries, all the, science has made enormous strides. It has changed our lives. And it is true that most of this progress came about by science that was done by white Caucasian males. So what are you talking about? It is silly to say that diversity is going to change the quality of science. So I think, however, I feel that that is not a correct question to ask. A more appropriate question to ask is, can you point out something where science might have lost something because we didn't have diversity? Or can you point out some place where science actually gained something because of diversity? And actually, I can give you examples of each one of these. So I want to start for the example as to where there might be a possible loss to science. And here I will begin by a story of a very famous French mathematician. Her name was Sophie Germain. She lived in the times, I forget the year, 1776 to 1831. If you remember your years, she was 13 years old when French Revolution broke out. So as a result of this, she was confined to her father's estate outside Paris. And in fact, her father was a scholar, so he had lots of books in his attic. And this young girl would otherwise perhaps never have read these books. She read books on mathematics. And it captured her. She wanted to do mathematics, but it was not considered very appropriate career and subject to pursue for gentle women. Actually, this is actually a statement. Okay. In fact, the few years after the revolution, also École Polytechnique, which I'm sure all of you know, which is one of the most prestigious institutes, educational institutes of France, it did not open its door to women. So here was this girl, and her family even took away her candles, saying that she should not study mathematics. Finally, they relented. They were nice people. They said, okay, you want to study mathematics? Study at home. And then she actually studied under a male pseudonym in the École Polytechnique, under the name called Monsieur Leblanc. And the brilliance of the answers of Monsieur Leblanc's answers actually exposed to people like Lagrange her true identity. So they were very impressed, but at the same time, a lot of time was lost. She didn't really get any formal training. She did important work in number theory and theory of elasticity. In fact, some of her work in number theory had connections with Fermat's solutions to Fermat's last theorem. Again, for those of you who don't know, Fermat's last theorem was unsolved for 350 years, and it finally was solved after he posed it, and it was after 200 years after Sophie made the first beginnings of the solution. And unfortunately, in all her work, the other mathematicians always found flaws because she didn't have the original training, and everything had to be repeated 4 times over before she actually got to the solution. And this was particularly true for the equation she got for theory of elasticity, which actually studied vibrations and which was important in building the Eiffel Tower. So it took her much longer than she would have otherwise taken. And when I think about how this self-trained mathematician achieved these dazzling heights. She was actually the first woman to get the medal in French Academy of Sciences. And she got this without any formal training, and she unfortunately died also young. But I just imagine, if she had the training and had the advantage of discourses with brilliant mathematicians of the century who were there present in Paris, how much more mathematics could have gained. So this is my example of a possible loss. Of course, I cannot prove it to you because I cannot produce two worlds where one Sophie Germain is allowed to study and other Sophie Germain is not allowed to study. But I think it stands reasonably clear that here at least, that biases, but for the biases, we might have contributions from more diverse forces. And that is something to the good of science. At the same time, I also want to give you a story about how accidentally, so to say, diversity added to the progress of early space program in US. At the time of the Second World War, most of the men were out fighting wars, and the NACA, which is, I forget the full form at this moment, but which was the earlier avatar of NASA, and they were doing aeronautical research, and they needed people who could do mathematics, people who could compute. So they went to the deep south, and these were African American women who were teaching in mathematics in schools. These are sort of what I call, and what Margaret Lee Shatterley called, hidden figures. So these women were actually recruited, otherwise nobody would have thought that they're capable of doing these things. And out of this, Dorothy Vaughan was the head of the first computer center of NASA. And they would have been 100 sometime soon. They are unfortunately now all passed away. And the second one, most important one, was Katherine Johnson, who actually plotted the orbit of the first manned space flight that the US had. And later on, she also plotted the orbits of Apollo and so on and so forth. There were two things here. One thing is that they were employed only because at that time no men were available. But somehow this space program benefited from this diversity in the workforce. And the second point is that they did not get very much recognition. In fact, Katherine Johnson was finally given the Congressional Medal when she was 97 years old and when Barack Obama became the president. And the other two actually passed away before they got the recognition. And this is also something very common in the underrepresented groups, that I don't want to elaborate on this. I think the point is clear. Another, and the interesting point that I would like to make is that after all this, now today, when there is a lack of women in computing, computer science, mathematics in the US, there are people who bemoan the fact and they say, oh, women lack interest or ability in mathematics, when there are these glaring examples who have been completely forgotten. So these are the hidden figures. But here you also see that groups which you think that the biases tell you that these people will not be able to achieve these dizzying heights, they are able to make contributions, and of course they should be able to. Knowledge does not depend on what your gender is, what the color of your skin is, and what language you speak. Then another example that I would like to take, the last one, is about use of knowledge systems, about the gain that you can get. For example, we are all aware that, I have to read the names here because I forget them, that use of Ayurvedic medicine called Google, which is actually produced a cholesterol lowering agent. This was the research done by Dr. Satyavati, who was the first woman DG of ICMR. Or it's also pretty known that something called Sarpagandha is used in the development of Reserpine, which is a medication for hypertension. In fact, even in the recent times, the Siddha and the Ayurveda systems have, in fact, for the COVID-19, come up with new medications, new treatments. And the point is not to go back to the traditional knowledge systems. The point is to validate them with modern methods and then innovate using those older traditional systems and not forget that knowledge. And that clearly can bring advance to science. So I think I have tried to make my point that diversity can bring excellence to science, can add to the excellence of science. I would not say it brings it, but it adds to it. Now, of course, science is objective. It talks about universal truths. I mean, force is equal to mass into acceleration would still be the same no matter who wrote it, and even if Newton hadn't written it. So then, what's this point again? The point is not about the gender of the person who does it, not about the color of the skin of the person who does it, but there is a very important point that the choices of our investigations, topics that we choose to study, even in pure science, actually seem to depend on our experiences. They are influenced by our cultural or racial or gender background. This is a direct impact of diversity on science and processes of science. So let me give you examples of that also. You know, one very old example, first example I would like to give you is that Anandibai Joshi, the first woman doctor to get become a medical doctor in the US, you know, her thesis was gynecological problems of Hindu women. And you know why she did it? She did it because she herself lost a child at the age of 14. So no man would look at this issue, no? Or the other important point was the much more recent story I can give you of Shalini Arya of Institute of Chemical Technology, who has done very important research on nutritious chapatis. Again, not a subject that any one of us would have chosen, and this is hard science. This is good research. And she took this up because of her childhood experiences and the way, you know, she came up, was brought up. In fact, for a very long time, and all the projects funded by the NIH, they either, you know, firstly they covered only white male cohorts. They didn't realize that the surveys did not include women cohorts. And secondly, a very small fraction of the funding actually went to investigate health problems of the women. And as the participation of women increased, then so did this disparity change, and more important and relevant things did get investigated. At very different level, there is a story of Joy Bolamini. She was head of the MIT Media Labs, and she made a very interesting observation. She was in the media labs, and there is this automated face recognition programs, and they would fail at as much as 35% when tried on African American women. And they worked wonderfully when they were tried on white Caucasian males. Why? Because people who were developing those tests were all white Caucasian males and used white Caucasian males as their input to train their systems. And in these days, when we are going to use artificial intelligence for everything, I hope I don't need to tell more why we should have diverse workforce and diverse inputs, even in this particular context. You know, actually I would want to end this with one example, is that lack of awareness of cultural differences can actually make the scientific processes we put in place sometimes differentiate without our wanting to. There was recently a Deccan Herald news report that there was some special scholarship for students that was instituted by Karnataka State Department. And the online form one girl could not fill because it required the name of father, and in certain communities in Karnataka, the children don't know the name of their father. If it was an offline form, you could actually leave this blank and you could submit the form. This was an online form, this was a required information, red star. So clearly you could not, she could not register. So this is, you know, the point is that for administration in this case, did not check whether the processes that are put in place are equitable. This is about different groups of society. So we need to worry about these things. This is not, we need to change this situation. So what all I have tried to tell you so far is to have diversity in the scientific workforce will actually increase the scope and effectiveness of our scientific processes. And as I said, just look everywhere, and we know the world over, this is not specific to India, that we know that the scientific workforce is not diverse. So obvious question is how to change things. Of course, to change things, you first have to find out what are the reasons, and then you have to find out how you can cure them. But there is also a second important thing that you need to decide before you start changing things. How do you judge things are right? Is it going to be right when there's 50% men and 50% women, 50% North Indians and 50% South Indians? That's not the case. So you need to actually establish the targets sensibly, with discourse, with good thinking. So how, as I said, we need to know how to judge What level of diversity is correct? And is there ever such a thing as correct level? These are all very important and deep questions, and when we start looking at cures, we need to think about things very holistically. And also one should understand that lack of numerical representation is a symptom. That's not the problem. So by getting number is necessary, but getting numbers is not enough. You need to go to the root cause. And even more importantly, each one of these inequities that I have told you have certain obvious different causes. And I don't want to discuss them in detail, but each of the inequities have their own reasons why those inequities exist. And you have to have some, the state, the society, have to implement measures to correct those inequities. But cutting across all the inequities, what is interesting is there is something what I call invisible biases, which are common to all the inequities. And awareness of these invisible biases is something that we need to be also, along with what is the correct target, this invisible bias is something that we really need to think about. And just to sort of illustrate what is meant by biases, I already gave you an example of one bias. Girls from good families, gentle families do not do mathematics. So, that's a bias, for example. So, where did that bias come from? That bias came because, when we talk, we say mankind invented something. The man invented. The first calendar invented by the man was a bone with 28 incisions on it. You stand back and you say, which man ever in the world needed to keep track of 28 days? So clearly it was a woman who invented that calendar, but we say it's invented by man. Nothing wrong in it. As long as it doesn't create a bias when it tells you that it's only the men who do the discoveries and women should make no part in it. So this is an invisible, unconscious bias that comes because of this simple thinking like this. I will take examples of gender where I understand something. And I will begin, and I think I will take about 5 more minutes to tell you about this, what I call invisible biases. So, for example, in India, and over here today also that was exemplified, we have no shortage of young, smart women graduating, getting medals, and you go to university functions and you will see all the medal winners are women. But then you go to, go through the life, you start looking at it, then you will go to the positions, laureates of science administrators, positions of seniority, and then there is a question. Actually, the question in India is even funnier, even up to the PhD level. Today we saw lots of women receiving their PhD degrees, and this is the case for last 40 years that I have been in the game, that the number of women PhDs and data, actually I have data with which I can talk, it has been growing from 20% and now it's about 35% of our PhDs in the country are women. It is fantastic, and this is over the past 30 years. But when you go to institutes, IISERs are a bit of an exception in fact. When you go to an institute like mine, and you will find 10% of the faculty are women in sciences. So, and when you start going to the positions of seniority, positions of authority, positions of decision making, the numbers sort of dwindle more and more. So in case of women, you can say there are 2 obvious causes. One cause is, of course, balancing career and family, and that's common to all women who want to do anything. That's not specific to women scientists. But for women scientists, there is something very specific. And that has to do with the fact that right after your PhD, your body clock is ticking. If you want to have children, there is a gap window of few years. And also the clock of science is ticking. If you want to become an independent scientist, if you want to say, I want to lay my roots down in this area and I want to become an authority in this area, that is the time when you do it. So the clock of science is ticking, the clock of body is ticking, and some people make some choices. And that is where we lose a lot of women. This is specific to science. Actually, I'm quite happy that we actually have methods, schemes by which women can come back if they take a break. But I still think that we are not thinking far enough to see how we can go slow over the speed breakers rather than stop the car completely and restart it, because as we know, cold restarts always take time. So this is, for example, specific to women in science, and we need to think about this. But this is a very obvious obstacle, and as I said, obvious obstacles have a good advantage that you can actually see how to correct them. You can logically argue what are the targets, you can argue what processes should be put in place, and actually that's happening, and I'm quite happy with that. But there is a second, and that is the what I call conscious and unconscious biases. Biases about what a woman can do, what a woman cannot do, what a woman should do, what a woman should not do. See, I'm standing in front of you today here, but I can tell you in my youth, somebody once said, oh, I didn't realize you were so serious about science. And I have no idea why the person thought so, because I was writing my 5 papers a year. I was giving my 2 lectures in invited conferences. So apart from my gender, I really couldn't see any other reason why the person said, oh, I didn't think you were serious about science. So this is just an anecdote, but I think I have seen this often enough, so I can say this. So, you know, this is the invisible bias, and I want to give you an example how these grow. I have a friend whose daughter, they have only one child, and they bring her without any biases, bring her up. They gave her a book called, the book is called Joy of Making Indian Toys. And she made only half of them, or maybe less than half. So they said, but why did you not make the other ones? Oh, but the picture showed only boys making them. So I decided they are not for me. Now this is an unconscious bias that is come to you. In fact, this author of the book was impressed with this, and he changed the cover of the book later on, and he put a girl making toys on the cover of the book. But this happened because you had a very progressive set of parents who knew this author, and things moved. But this is an example of unconscious bias. Or I can tell you, I had a nephew, young nephew, this was 35 years ago maybe. He and his cousin were playing, and they said, let's play doctor, doctor. And I was sitting and working, I could hear it in the background. And she said, okay, you be the doctor, I'll be the nurse. I said, no, you can be the doctor if you want, my mother is a doctor. You know, how many jokes we have heard about the gender of the surgeon? Because we always tend to think that surgeon is a male person. So these are the unconscious, invisible biases which are common to us without our knowing it. But these are actually much simpler biases because you can be introspect, you can think about it, and you can be aware of them. But as I said, there are these invisible biases about what a woman should do, what is appropriate for a woman. And I think that all comes, at least that's after 40 years in this life, I have seen it, maybe things are changing, but I think that as a society, we do not give enough importance to a woman's career in science. A mother-in-law is very proud when her daughter-in-law is invited for a difficult delivery at 3 o'clock in the morning, and she will take care of the crying child with great pride and say, my daughter-in-law, she is so good, people call her at 3 in the morning. But at 3 in the morning, some daughter-in-law has to go and move the Drosophila flies from one tray, this thing to the other. She doesn't understand it. Kya hai kar karo na? Kya farak padta hai? And this is something that can come only if people see more women doing things. If they see more, I think winning awards and so on in science, for example, is not so, it's not the sole thing for which you do science. But on the other hand, if women win awards, that is something that raises the value of science for women in people's eyes. And what I have tried to argue first is that the value of women in science, for science, is something that then we maybe slowly start accepting and internalizing. And this is not just related to India. In fact, Royal Society on its webpage, I'm sure Ajay has seen this, lists the invisible biases and unconscious biases as one of the most important reasons for gender inequity in science. There is a wonderful film, and the film is a US film. It's called Picture a Scientist, and it actually tells us how unconsciously we relate professions to genders, professions to the race, professions to the geographical region. And I can give you a personal experience in traveling on a train in Germany. This was 30 years ago. And this person said, oh, you are from where? So I said, I'm from, I said, you guess? Then he said, are you a nurse? Are you from Sri Lanka? Because all the foreigners that they knew in Germany were nurses who at that time, because of the unrest in Sri Lanka, had come there. And it took them some time to realize that here I am a professor of physics, and of course in Germany professor is a big thing, so clearly they changed the way they talk to me. So these are conscious or unconscious biases, and I would actually recommend all of you to see this film. And as I said, I have only talked about gender as an example, but unconscious biases are not the propriety of gender inequity alone. Think how often we do not pay enough attention to what a person is saying because the person cannot speak fluent English. Think how often we do not think that a person's science is good, and this happens, mind you. I'm sorry to say this, because the person has been working in India. This still happens on and off. Or if the person is not from a stellar institute, at the first glance, we get biased by that. Of course, being scientists, and particularly in these processes, finally science speaks. Finally, the quality of science tells you it doesn't matter who the person is, but it takes some time. We do get affected by our biases. So my first request to all of you, when you go up in your life, go forward in your life, both in science and out of science, pay attention to the message without it being colored by the messenger, the caste, the gender, the language, and whatever you have. To be aware of one's own invisible biases and to introspect and autocorrect is very important. So you would say, yeah, very good, we will all do this. We will all take a pledge. Is that enough? Actually not. It's necessary, but it's not sufficient. We have to actually move on two different fronts. We have to change policies. We have to make policies. And more importantly, our policies themselves should not be affected by the biases of people who make policies. I have enough, I can take time and talk how there are policies which themselves have dependencies on the biases. So we need to worry about that. And of course, we need to worry very consciously to change social attitudes and social conventions. So being aware of it is the first step, but we need to consciously try to increase that awareness, because the awareness is also essential when we want to implement the policy effectively. Luckily for me, I think, not luckily, I would say I'm very happy that the government of India, in fact, and the PS's office, of which Ajay is now the proud head, that actually they included equity and inclusion in the policy document of India for the first time in 2020. That means that effect of equity and inclusion on science, on all aspects of science, should be considered holistically. There are a lot of recommendations we made, and I do hope that they will get implemented as times go by. As we will see, as we can see when one has a detailed discussion, is that these policies actually require changes in the institutional processes, sir. It requires time in our mindsets, all of you, and it requires support, support from ground level, from the mothers-in-laws, from the fathers-in-laws, from the husbands, for gender. For others, it requires from different classes who participate in science. And this can be done effectively only if we are convinced that we are not doing this as a charity to any group. We are doing this for the good of science. We are doing this for excellence in science. It's not only the group that is underrepresented that is going to benefit, it is the science in the end that's going to benefit. Believe me, our approach as to why we are doing something changes completely by our realization who it benefits. We are all human beings. So if we please don't think of equity and inclusion as charity to anybody. Think of equity and inclusion for the good of science. So please introspect and autocorrect your invisible biases in your professional and personal lives. Think how you treat your spouse. Think how you treat your children. Think how you train them. Think how often you ask the daughter to give a glass of water and how often you ask the young boy to give a glass of water. These are small things. But these are the things that change finally when they get internalized. These are the things that would change. For example, other important things to realize is not just increase the quality of science, it makes pragmatic and economic sense. Why does it make economic sense? Take the example of women. You train them, they become PhDs, the money is spent in the research they do, and if they fall off, they go out, it's loss. For every 100 rupees that we have invested in science, we are getting back only 10 paise. That's not worth it. So people falling out of trained workforce, when our highest priority right now is to have trained scientific human resource, this is a economic suicide. So it is for the good of scientific community, good for the scientific ecosystem, that we need to have this one particular diversity. In my mind, I hope I have convinced you, have all kinds of diversities. They can only do good to the science, and therefore I think we need to be inclusive. Please be inclusive, all of you. And I would say all of us, at the individual level, at the level of scientists, at the level of science administrators, at the level of scientific institutions, and at the level of state, all of us have to learn to be inclusive in science, in all we do, so that after a few decades, we will stop talking about, again I go to gender because, about women scientists and women engineers, to talking about scientists and engineers, some of you whom happen to be women. And that is the dream, and that is the day for which I particularly live. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Rohini Godbole. I now request Professor Gauri Shankar and our Registrar, Professor Jagdeep Singh, to present a memento to Professor Rohini Godbole, our chief guest.
Wonderful.
I now request both of them to present a memento to our Chairperson Board of Governors, Professor Ajay Sood. Also, our congratulations to him for becoming the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India. Thank you.
This finally started coming out.
I will now request the Chairperson Board of Governors, Professor Ajay Sood, to declare the convocation of IISER Mohali closed, but I wish to make an announcement before he proceeds. This is going to be followed by the national anthem and departure of the academic procession. All of you are invited for snacks in the foyer of the lecture hall complex after that. Requesting Professor Ajay Sood.
I declare the 11th convocation of IISER Mohali closed.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय